Buenas tardes.
Hi, Jared. How are you?
I'm pretty good, brother. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's great having you with us. I know we have little time, so let's take the best of it.
Yeah.
Great record, very interesting, very different from what I've heard previously from 30 Seconds. The album is called The End of the World, but it's a beautiful day. And the last lyric of the album is "From the ashes we will rise." So there's a message there, right? Can you tell me about this? I mean, is this a positive, hopeful record from the perspective of you as a writer?
Yeah, I think so. It's a big change for us. But, it was an album that was born deep into the early days of COVID. And, a lot of the final songs are reflect that period of time where we were all isolated and coming out of that isolation back into the world, back into, a time of, a little hope and promise. Yeah, I mean, it's an evolution for the band. It was been about 5 years since we put an album out. So, this is a reflection of where we're at in our lives, and we're really excited to be sharing it with the world.
Was it easy to keep a positive perspective in the pandemic when it came to writing songs for the album? Of course, now that you mention it, that it influenced the lyrics of the record. But I wanted to know, I mean, everyone felt it in the world. So how do you keep a positive mind during that period?
I think everybody had their own way of doing things, whether it was making banana bread or, calling friends and family. For my brother and I, we just dove into the writing process and focused on work and it really tried to use that time as an opportunity to get something productive done. So we started working on the new album. It's The End of the World, but it's a beautiful day. We wrote over 200 songs, and it was a really special experience. I mean, we put our heart and fucking soul into this thing, and I think you can feel it when you hear the album. It's a album that's filled with a lot of emotion, an album that's very intimate, very professional, very different in a lot of ways, but still at its core 30 Seconds to Mars.
It's interesting because the whole banana bread thing also happened in Colombia. It's funny how even though we're connected differently around the world, some people just happen to everyone. And the banana bread thing also happened in Latin America.
I mean, who would have known? Banana bread.
Look, a song like World on Fire is constantly saying, "Let there be light," and every single pair of hearts started out as strangers. I love that line. Tell me about it from the perspective of a record called It's the End of the World, but It's a Beautiful Day, because I was expecting something really different.
Yeah, I mean, the album title for me says it all. It's an album title that acknowledges the conflict, the uncertainty, the instability of the times that we're living in, but also recognizes that there's still hope and beauty to be found. Sometimes just by looking up at the sky and, remembering the promise that's out there in life. That's why on the album cover, we have a series of skies, but, it's music is a reflection of the experiences that you have in your life. All art is, and I believe that, artists are just sharing their perspective of the experiences and that they've had and how they see the world. So yeah, I hope that people respond to the music and find something that they connect to in a really deep way.
So tell me a bit more about the album cover, because I've listened to the album via streaming, and are different shots from different skies depending on what?
Yeah, I took photographs of the sky for a year, and then I picked 10 of them, and that became this series of skies that we've been using for album covers. We have 10 different covers. And it was kind of something that I took from Andy Warhol. Would do a series of 10 images, often repetitive images. and by their juxtaposition, there was some kind of beauty to be found sometimes, or a question asked, you know. And I like that. I like the repetition. I like the motif, and it's also fun because you get to use more things that you love. Yeah.
Man, that's beautiful. I mean, I've only listened to the record through streaming. I usually buy vinyl. I saw you on social media with the vinyl copy, so I'm gonna try and get one now that you mentioned that story about the album cover. Beautiful. I also noticed in songs like Life is Beautiful that you mentioned Kings and Queens, and also in Never Not Love You, you mentioned Beautiful Lie. I don't know if those are just words or references to previous 30 Seconds to Mars songs.
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, Nike putting a swoosh on a shoe. You know, they're part of who we are. And I like to bring back motifs. I like to bring back familiar ideas. You know, I think that's, you know, like an architect may work with a certain brick or steel or glass. You know, I enjoy revisiting themes and thoughts and ideas and words and phrases and imagery. I think that's really, it makes a lot of sense to me.
Cool. Seasons also, I really like that song. I wanted to ask you because I heard you vocally different. I don't know if I'm making myself clear here, but it's like you're trying something while singing different with your voice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some people have asked me, is that you singing? And I said, yeah. You know, it's actually a way I took from my brother when he sang a song on the last album. He had a very kind of intimate, slightly broken way of singing the verses. And I thought, oh, wow, that kind of crept into my performance on this album. So, you know, it's nice to be doing it this long and then still find new ways to explore your voice. It's surprisingly a very difficult way to sing, even though it sounds very easy, but it's very difficult to sing like that live when you're running all over the place, because it takes a very calm body and throat to sing that kind of that delicate way.
I'd also noticed there's a lot of producers on these records. Did that help to develop the sound we are finding from 30 Seconds to Mars on this new record?
I think so. It was the first time we really collaborated with other people. And for me, it was great because I've been doing all that work for 25 years. And of course, my brother's always involved and always there and always contributing. But the role of like the writer producer generally had been my responsibility. So it was nice to share that. It was nice to see Shannon grow so much as a producer and a writer and contribute a lot more. And it made the job a little less daunting, a little less stressful, and a little less isolating for me. So I really enjoyed that quite a bit.
Shannon is an awesome drummer. I remember seeing you guys perform in Madrid many years ago. It was you, Katy Perry, and 30 Seconds to Mars. I remember, I think you had maybe Kanye West singing with you on that show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. We had Kanye West up there, and we played outside on the street in Madrid, and it was just crazy. It was a huge show. And it was just a beautiful night. We really loved it.
And I remember, since it was the first time I saw you guys perform, that your brother was impressive on the drums, and of course you had also Linkin Park playing, so the sound was huge.
Yeah, we had a great experience. And you know, it's funny that speaking of Madrid, and such a beautiful place in Spain in general. I go to the Balearic Islands quite a bit. I go rock climbing and free diving down in Mallorca and Ibiza, and I love that part of the world. But you know, it's always, we had success in Italy and France and Portugal, and then for a long time we didn't even tour in Spain because we thought nobody liked us. I think the booking agents didn't realize maybe there might be some people that want to see us play. So we really didn't start playing that often in Spain until fairly recently. But it's been nice to see 30 Seconds to Mars growing in that country. And even though it was a little late, we're happy to be able to come there, and we hope to see you very soon.
I think I read somewhere on an interview where you spoke about how rock climbing has somehow influenced the record, the freedom, the feeling of freedom and the focus you need to be on when climbing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really teaches you a lot about life, and those moments where you get to be free from some of the stresses and the burdens of your own, kind of self-imposed stresses and burdens. And that's always a beautiful thing for creativity. It's always a really great thing for life, period. And, that can't help but feed your work, your art, your output. So yeah, it's been a really, really great thing.
We've of course heard the stories about being in a band with your family. Is it hard from your perspective? I mean, I've never heard about you guys being like the Gallaghers or the Followills who usually argue or something, but you're mainly a creative force, just the two of you pushing boundaries with 30 Seconds to Mars. How's that of doing this for 25 years now effectively with your brother?
It's incredible. I mean, he and I share a common goal, and I always say that I don't think our relationship as brothers would be the same if it weren't for 30 Seconds to Mars, and I don't think 30 Seconds to Mars would be what it is if we weren't brothers. So we have a great commitment to each other, and we've learned to really, make things work. There's too much stress and conflict in the world to add to it. So we prefer to keep things positive.
That's it. Thank you very much. Looking forward to see you guys coming to Latin America.
Brother, we'll be there in March.
Great. Thank you very much.
So we'll see you soon, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Have a very nice day.